This is Bangladesh's Mongla Port, a sprawling logistics hub on the verge of a modernization effort, redefining its role in the Bay of Bengal. Originally, India was handpicked to lead this upgrade. It was a deal meant to cement New Delhi's Act East foreign policy, securing a long-term strategic foothold right next door. However, that prior partnership was abruptly dissolved. Bangladesh unexpectedly delisted India from the project and granted China the rights to build a massive 150-acre industrial park on the site instead. For India, this isn't just about a lost construction contract. It is a direct strategic blow delivered to a vital port right on its eastern border. To see why this matters, look at the String of Pearls, a strategy surrounding the Indian subcontinent with foreign-controlled infrastructure. Mongla is the latest node. From Hambantota, Sri Lanka to Gwadar, Pakistan, these form a physical ring around India's maritime territory. These are civilian projects, but their proximity to Indian waters is the real threat. In a geopolitical crisis, this exact infrastructure can be immediately leveraged for extensive military logistics and direct naval support. Beijing's strategy has moved beyond winning individual construction bids. They are systematically closing a physical, strategic perimeter around their biggest regional rival. The irony of this alliance is that China initially refused to even recognize Bangladesh as a country. Beijing didn't establish diplomatic relations with Dhaka until 1975, 3 years after the nation was founded. Today, that history has been sidelined. Bangladesh recently signed 17 bilateral deals with President Xi Jinping, trading historical grievances for what they view as a more stable economic partnership. Part of that stability involves a military component. There is a growing desire within the Bangladeshi government to acquire advanced Chinese weaponry, specifically the J-10C fighter jet. While China offers hardware, India's relationship with Dhaka is being tested by domestic issues, specifically New Delhi's hardline stance on deporting illegal immigrants. Beijing identified this diplomatic fracture over immigration and used its investment power to drive a wedge between these two historical neighbors. The official language of the Mongla deal is carefully vague. It doesn't mention military bases, and officially no such facility is being built. But China has a proven playbook for dual-use facilities. We saw it at Sri Lanka's Hambantota port, which was also presented to the world as a strictly commercial project. That civilian project eventually hosted docked Chinese military vessels and submarines, forcing India into a diplomatic and security crisis. We can expect China to use the 150-acre park at Mongla to push those same boundaries, perhaps by installing espionage radars or deploying intelligence staff under the cover of industrial management. The lesson of the last decade is clear. A facility does not need a military label to operate as a strategic outpost. This shift is turning the Bay of Bengal, traditionally India's unchallenged backyard, into a contested zone. The threat is compounding. Pakistan recently announced it will begin deploying its own submarines into these very waters. When you combine Pakistani naval assets with Chinese port access, India's eastern flank is suddenly facing a level of militarization it hasn't seen in decades. This forces the Indian Navy into a difficult squeeze, splitting its attention between a volatile western land border and a newly hostile eastern sea. Geopolitical outcomes are often decided years in advance, won through the quiet, incremental acquisition of infrastructure rather than sudden conflict. The shift at Mongla Port integrates another piece into this regional network, leaving India's eastern flank exposed to a strategy of persistent geographic encirclement.
If you value clarity over chaos, explore more on Clear Lens X.